And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby 411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and it is with great pleasure, as always, to bring back a guest to the podcast, the one and only from Rugby Morning, John. John, welcome back. How are you doing, brother?
Joshua, I'm doing good right now. I've got the California sunshine
Right,
behind me.
right,
Just made the move from DC to
right.
California.
Yeah,
I'm
welcome.
in your state now,
You're in
man.
my
This is
area. You're in my area. We are practically neighbors. Welcome to Cali. You know, remind me again where you were originally from or where you moved from.
yeah, moved originally from Maryland, moved from Washington DC.
Got it. So
Yeah.
it's definitely not the same sticky humidity as it is
Yes.
over on the East Coast.
Yes.
It's a
Yep.
definitely a different humidity. You've actually come at a weird summer for us. Usually it'd be much hotter, but it's been
Mm,
very cool. Like right now, it's cool for us. Um,
yeah.
so next week we're going to get into the triple digits. So
Ooh. All
yeah,
right.
so I'm hoping your place has air conditioning. It'd be really silly if it didn't, but yeah, just be prepared. But from what I've seen, it's only going to be like a couple of days. Like
All
we've
right.
had some, yeah, it's not too bad. We've had some summers where it's been like a week or so. And it's definitely better than I have a lot of friends in the Arizona and Nevada and the Vegas area.
Oh,
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
no, they are
Yeah.
like what you're doing right now. It wouldn't be possible. They would be melted. You would have been melted by now. So, but
Hey man, I'm used to this. Like you said, DC, it's hot and humid. This is fine. I had to put a sweatshirt on at night. It was a little chilly.
yeah, oh, no, yeah. It's like I said, it's been a really weird summer so far for us. It's much cooler than it's supposed to be, which is give or take what your thoughts are on that. But yeah, so it's definitely different. But let's start talking about the rugby. We had an amazing 2025 season. It came down to a very exciting MLR championship at the brand new Centerville Bank Stadium in Rhode Island. New England Free Jacks are the very first three-time MLR champions. First one to also do it back to back to back,
Hmm.
defeating the Houston SaberCats in a thriller of a match, 28-22. Your thoughts on the final?
Yeah, I thought it was a great showcase of Major League Rugby this season. I think the across the board we saw parity across the league,
Mm.
which is great. Very competitive matches. I mean, going all the way to the end of the regular season, playoff spots still weren't seedings weren't determined yet, and I thought the final was great. Right, it was two strong teams going at it. Everything you could ask for. Great crowd, great venue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some controversy, maybe a little bit, but that made it fun. And
Yeah,
some
definitely,
yeah,
definitely some questionable callings that could have, unfortunately, especially because you love to see it, right, where it comes down literally to the wire.
hmm
Houston had a chance to possibly win it at the very end, but I mean, if a call was made, maybe a yellow card or a penalty might
yeah,
have been made, things might have been different, right?
yeah,
So,
maybe,
but
yeah,
that's rugby, right? That's rugby, and you
yeah.
can't deny the fact that again we have a franchise truly born in Major League Rugby, the very first dynasty franchise with the New
Mm.
England Free Jacks. Seattle started off really hot at the very beginning, but now it looks like it is New England's home here in Major League Rugby with the Shield. I know, again, we'll probably talk about this later on, but any thoughts of, will next year be a four-piece for New England?
I hope not. I hope not. We need someone new. Get them off. Come
There
on.
you go.
Let's go.
You know what's funny is that just seems to be kind of the theme in sports, right? Like people do get excited to see these franchises, these dynasties built, but then once it's there, now everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
let's get somebody else to
Yes.
do this. Let's get
Exactly.
someone else. So
Exactly.
all right, so let's go over because this is the whole reason why we're doing this is you and we made a way too early prediction at the very beginning before the season even started of how we felt the teams will finish at the end of the season in our power rankings. We did a midway checkpoint, and now we're going to compare. And I love this, John, when I do this because
Mhm.
usually it's pretty far off. But it's funny to see where the mindset was before the season began to how things kind of played out. So it was really cool to see how things turned, how teams were constructed, injuries, all that stuff. So it's fun to compare. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna be the gracious host, and I'm gonna go first in showing you how poorly my predictions were. So here we go, and here it is. So my prediction at the very beginning is, if you're looking at the screen, is to the left. My prediction at the very end is to the right, and not really many. Pretty much almost nothing was what I predicted it would be at the very end of the season, with the exception, of course. And John, yours was the same thing, with the exception, of course, of Anthem Rugby being at the very bottom, unfortunately. But as you saw, but the thing is, John, my first two picks at the very beginning of the season was pretty close. I thought it would come down to Seattle and New England. And Seattle ended up, they were just a couple of games away from making it, an unfortunate loss to Utah. But New England did do what they were supposed to do, made their way to the championship game. Of course, the ranking itself at the very end, and I tell people my power rankings aren't based off of record or who is the most winningest team. It's who looked the best. And honestly, New England, and a lot of it had to do with, you would probably love this, is the game against Old Glory DC, as well as the game against Miami, really dropped New England to the fourth spot rather than finishing in the top two, because they kind of ended the season a little iffy, making it to the playoffs. While Utah and San Diego were looking like world beaters, especially San Diego, unfortunately for you, destroying Old Glory DC 50-5 really popped them up. And then Utah on a really, really good run at the very end. But, I mean, the way I look at how I predicted to where it ended, I'm not, with the exception of maybe New Orleans. I obviously thought New Orleans would be a little bit better. They ended up being second to last because they also were the first team outside of Anthem that weren't able to make a playoff spot. But they had a very dismal season, to be very brutally honest. I was predicting them to do a little bit better. I thought they would still at least make the playoffs, but they kind of fell out.
I gotta say though, you have San Diego second. Yes, they did beat Old Glory in the last game of the regular season to get their playoff spot, but Old Glory trotted out not all their starters for that game. San Diego started off the season gangbusters, but then had that absolute just falling apart. When we get to mine, I have San Diego extremely low after the wild start that they had. So I'm sure, yes, they did make the playoffs. I'm sure it was a little disappointing for them.
Well, again, it's because of the way the rankings are, or at least the way my rankings are. It's who you beat on your way to moving up. The win against Old Glory,
they missed the playoffs. Sorry, San Diego missed the playoffs.
Right, San Diego did miss the playoffs, but again, it's about who they beat against, who they win against, and what that team was doing at that time. Old Glory at the time, granted, yes, you're absolutely right. Old Glory did not have the strongest squad, unfortunately, when they faced against San Diego. But Old Glory was higher ranked at the time when they lost to San Diego. And the fact that, granted, I know not the strongest squad, but 50-5. I mean, that's hate to say it. I mean, 50 points you drop on an opponent, that says a lot. That's like a statement game right there.
Well, RFCLA did that to Old Glory DC. You probably remember that one.
Yeah, no, we did. But Old Glory, though, did not just put 5 points. Old Glory fought for that game. That was almost like one of the highest scoring games in MLR history. I mean, it was going back to forth. The San Diego game was just a lot more lopsided. So that's why I had San Diego up so high. But yeah, I understand, because San Diego definitely did not look like what we thought. I'm pretty sure we thought they were going to be. I mean, I'm kind of cheating right now. I'm looking at your way too early predictions. You had them at third. So we obviously thought San Diego was going to do better, but they ended up kind of teetering a little bit. So, but again, as you see, predictions not nearly close to being accurate for me. Now let's get a chance to look at yours, John.
Yeah, let's see.
And now I gotta say, for one thing for you, which is amazing, you hit the way too early predictions. You hit it on the head of the top two teams that would make it into the championship game. you had New England and Houston. So kudos to you. You knew something about those two teams because they made it at the very end. So that's amazing. Other than that, I mean, it's not too far off. Obviously, you had Utah, and again, we'll talk about this later on.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of us thought Utah was going to be very good this season, but man, they did amazing this season. You had them at 10. You had them finish at 2. You had Chicago, which understandably at 6, because I think we talked about it, where we thought Chicago always on paper looks really good, but yet they never seem to really deliver it on the pitch. This season, definitely for sure, they looked amazing. Arguably came very, very close to making it to the championship game. And so you had them at number 1. And then Houston, you had at number 3, not too far from where you were, and New England number 4. But anything else, now that you looked and now that you can see the comparison, anything else that kind of sticks out on your rankings, John?
Yeah, I think overall complete whiff on the Utah Warriors. I had them obviously, as you saw, just ahead of Anthem to start this season. And man, what a tremendous run that they had to get all the way to the Western Conference final. Yeah, I had New England ranked high. I just, as 2-time champs, bringing back most of their squad. Yes, Eastern Conference, it was going to catch up to them, but I don't think they did anything that suggests that they weren't going to be a competitive squad again.
Right.
I've got San Diego 3rd because I just thought that, the squad they brought back and the pieces that they added, I thought they were going to be a shoo-in for the playoffs in the Western Conference, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, at the end of the season, I rated RFCLA higher than Old Glory DC. How about that?
I was gonna tell you about that. You were much nicer to my squad than I was.
I know.
You definitely.
I'm a guest on this show, Joshua.
I know. I should be giving you my jersey.
This isn't the Jax Rangers show where you just troll people.
Sure. No. Going back though to San Diego, that one, I swear, John, it will be very, very interesting to see what happens in the offseason because I feel that is just like the weirdest case, right? They were so hot at the beginning of the season, last team to be undefeated, and yet they just spiraled out of control. And I don't think it was injuries. It didn't look like they really lost too many people. It just, for whatever reason, it didn't click anymore for them. So it's really, really weird what happened to that squad.
Yeah, new coach, Australian Sevens coach. I don't know if that played into it. They had, like you said, they had great pieces there all across the board. I think they were trying to figure out who was going to play 10 most of the season. They were kind of moving things around, whether it was Lincoln McClutchy, whether it was Ethan Grayson or some others. And I just think they had also a string of bad luck there in some of those games where they were never out of it. And even the losses that started to pile up. It was just unfortunate because at times, the beginning of the season, stringing off 5 straight wins, I thought they were going to run away with the Western Conference, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. And then to miss the playoffs too, it's even worse because it's like, man, you had so much potential, and then it just didn't happen for them. So, but again, I love looking at this comparison because it's just fun to see how far off or what our expectations were for a team, and then a team like Utah all of a sudden comes out of nowhere and just completely dominates, which is fascinating. But it is fun to see. But again, kudos to you for predicting at the beginning of the way too early beginning prediction that you thought would be New England and possibly Houston. I know you weren't like 100% solid with that, but that's kind of where you're leaning to. And hey, look, at the end of the season, those are the 2 teams there. So definitely a win for you on that one.
I'll tip my cap to that one.
There you go.
I guess.
So now let's go, because we had an amazing 2025 season. It is that time of the season. Then, of course, you have their superlatives, best of this and that. So I asked John to come up with a list of coaches, rookies, first-year players, best players of the season.
Yeah.
And he went far and beyond what was expected. But that's great. That's great. I feel honestly that just shows how much talent is in the league, where
Yeah.
it's so hard just to pick one,
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
It because you feel bad, right? Because like, how can you justify one person doing so well when this other person did just as well? It's hard to choose. So we have a couple going down with our best of, and we're gonna start with the coaches. So here comes the
Yep.
coaches right here. And again, forgive me if none of the coaches don't necessarily have the corresponding
Yeah.
jerseys correct,
Yeah.
but these are the ones that we have. So we have from left to right, we have Chris Latham, the new coach for Chicago, Alan Clarkey, veteran coach for Seattle, Ryan Martin for the New England Free Jacks, and then Greg Cooper for Utah, who unfortunately, though,
Yeah.
has now been announced as he is leaving the organization. Congratulations to him, because of obviously he's going on to a great position, coaching, I believe, in Super Rugby. And so his assistant coach, Robbie Abel, has been promoted to head coach of the Utah Warriors. So congratulations to him. But
Yeah.
these are the four coaches. Why don't we go with you, Jason? Because I can't remember now which coaches you picked and which one I picked, but you know them as well as I do. Why don't you give us your thoughts on why these are the coaches of the year?
Yeah, I think the two that, I mean, Greg Cooper, obviously, with what Utah did, I think surprising a lot of people outside of the building weren't aware of maybe the talent or what they had there. Obviously Chris Latham, Chicago, very competitive side. But to me, Alan Clark and Ryan Martin stand out just because of the way their seasons went, right? Seattle, a very, poor start in their eyes, certainly weathered all of that, came back strong and made the playoffs. And then similar thing with Ryan Martin, right? You're returning to a team that he was a coach of a few years ago, also a team that had won two straight. So the expectation and the pressure of like, hey, you got to get back there.
Mm-hmm.
And they did, and they
Mm-hmm.
won it to get the three-peat is very impressive.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's those two guys. And if then it comes down to titles, then you got to give it to Ryan Martin,
Right.
and the Free Jacks for winning their third straight. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Ryan Martin, when we talk about pressure, coming in as the new coach for a storied franchise, I mean, that's a lot of pressure right there. And of course, I'm pretty sure you might know a little bit more because you're closer. Well, you were closer to that area, John, than I am. But I'm sure the fan base might have been grumbling a little bit because, as you mentioned, New England did not start off very hot in the season. They actually looked pretty lost, to be honest. So I'm sure might have been some grumblings about what is this new coach doing? Why aren't we playing well? Why aren't we winning? And now all of a sudden, hey,
winning cures all, right?
Yeah. It's a winning. So exactly, winning does solve it all. It's really phenomenal what Ryan has done. Yeah, I don't have really too much else to add. I really like the Greg Cooper one because, and again, our power rankings that we were just talking about kind of alludes to it. Neither one of us thought Utah was going to do anything. And the fact that you have a coach like Greg Cooper who just said, you know what? Hey, don't worry about it. We got some new pieces. I'm very confident with the squad I built. And hell, I mean, they were amazing going down the playoff run. Unstoppable. The crowd was really into it. You ever watch those games at Zion Stadium? The crowd is pumped. Again, it's just unfortunate that they lost at the very end, but I mean, a great season for them. With a team like both of us did not feel very confident about.
Yeah.
So it's just a shame now that Greg Cooper is moving on. But again, he did a lot with a squad that again, not too many people. I don't even feel too many people outside of us either felt very confident in them. But Coach Cooper knew what he was doing and did very well. And then I just got to mention about Alan Clarkey. Clarkey, I think is a great coach. If you ever hear him, if you ever have the luxury of being near him when he's coaching at a game, you can hear the passion and the fire in him. He is a no nonsense coach, but he knows how to win. He knows how to win. He knows how to get things done. There's a reason why Seattle is the only two-time champions in the league. And they're always in contention. They're not usually out of the playoffs, and Clarkey is a big reason for that. So it's again the coaches that were picked. I feel no reason not to consider them as the best coaches of this 2025 season.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, moving on now. We separated this next category into rookies and then first year players, and I feel with and correct me if I'm wrong, John, with the perception of the difference between the rookie and first year player. These rookies are particularly players that usually this is their first professional year playing professional rugby. Most of them are usually coming from the college scene, or in case of one of them coming from the sevens and now officially doing actual 15s play. They're not players that have played in other places at 15s at a pro or pretty high level and now making the transition to MLR. These are actual legit first year pro players that we have selected in this one. So the four that we have, and again, this list I think is phenomenal, starting from left to right. Peyton Wall, Chicago Hounds, 10th overall pick in the 2024 MLR draft from Indiana. Eric Storty from Anthem Rugby in the second number 1 overall draft pick in the 2024 draft from St. Mary's College is with Anthem Rugby. You have Aiden King, NOLA draft 6 overall from Penn State. And then at the very far right, Malachi Isdale, who plays for Seattle, is formerly of Rugby Sevens, where he represented the USA with the Eagles, making his very first year at Major League Rugby here. Mm-hmm. These are our 4. And John, phenomenal list that is selected here.
Yeah, all good young players, all players that are either part of the USA Men's Eagles wider setup or soon to be. Obviously, Malachi Isdale coming from the sevens program, trying his hand at 15s. I mean, the first time he touched the ball this year in MLR for Seattle, he scored the game-winning try against New England with no time left. How about that?
It was phenomenal.
Yeah. Aiden King, I like him. Good young flanker. I think grew up in Australia, but's got U.S. domestic eligibility on down the line. I thought he just was a bunch of tackles down there on a team NOLA goal that just kind of underperformed there. And then obviously Eric Storty, the guy's already capped as a capped Eagle when he was in college. And then Peyton Wall, talk about coming on strong at the end of the regular season. And some of the runs that he had, pretty electric. And again, I think at least with Eric Storty and Peyton Wall and Aiden King, I love the pathway, right? Players coming out of the American college rugby pathway, because that's truly what needs to be developed in order to really, get some more superstars and just show potential kids in grade school and high school, like, hey, there's a path here. It's a high level rugby.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And the 3 colleges that they come from too have great rugby programs. Indiana, St. Mary's College in California. I mean, they are a dominant powerhouse in the West. And then Penn State. I mean, most people know Penn State from football, obviously, but I mean, with the rugby now growing as well, I mean, these are visible colleges too. So like you mentioned, I mean, this is great because it really does give future players, future kids here in the United States and technically from the rest of the world as well, a very clear pathway. Hey, go to one of these colleges, get into the rugby program, get on the team, and you can make your way into MLR, get into the draft, get drafted, maybe free agency, however it is, but there is definitely a pathway. And Malachi Isdale, I mean, that's also a pathway too, if you don't make it necessarily through college and the draft, hey, maybe start a little bit in sevens and press enough, make that transition. You can find your way into the 15s as well. And
absolutely,
as you mentioned, man, Malachi Isdale had a phenomenal year, 6 tries of the season. It seems like you said, every time he touches the ball, he just scores. My only questioning which was again, I'm not a coach, but I was just always wondering why he wasn't starting as much on Seattle. He was always coming off the bench. I don't know if that was just a strategy, or maybe conditioning. I mean, obviously 7s and 15s, 2 completely different play styles. but it just felt like if he can score if he touches the
Yeah.
ball, why not have him right at the beginning, But
Definitely some talented wingers there in Seattle. Futi,
sure.
who I like a lot, who's
Oh
part
yeah.
of the men's Eagles camp.
Hmm.
Jade Stiegling, from
Hmm.
South Africa. Certainly, they had some different options up there, and maybe it was just a very competitive,
Could
uh,
be. Yeah.
very competitive up there.
Yeah.
And you got to earn your time. But
Yeah. No,
certainly,
again,
scoring tries when you touch the ball is one way to
yeah.
make sure coach gets you in there.
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm not a coach, so I can't criticize or complain about it. And
Yeah,
and I'm not at the training pitches either, so I can't see what the coaches are seeing.
yeah,
So I'm just seeing what I'm watching in the game. So it could be during training. Like you said, the competition might be really really stiff, and Malachi is just good but not good enough. And
yeah,
hey, with that being said, what a great weapon to have come off of the bench too, right?
yeah. No kidding.
So.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to move on to our first year players. Now, the thing is this. So,
I
as we
already know
mentioned,
where you're going with this.
yeah, you probably do. As I just mentioned, with how much love John has been giving RFCLA with the polls, also, he's done that with this first year best players of 2025 in the MLR season. So much so that I had to split this category into the best first year players of RFCLA and the rest because he had a bunch from
Yeah,
RFCLA. So, and hey, I'm not hating on that because
yeah,
obviously I'm happy about it. Love to talk about it with him. But and by the way, I agree with your assessment on these guys because phenomenal talent. So we'll bring up here. So for those of you who are not too familiar with the RFCLA squad, starting from left to right, we have Ed Timpson on the left. We have Nick Chan, Ben Houston, phenomenal number 8. Christian Lealifano, his name's right there. Phenomenal fly half. And then scrum half, Gonzalo Bertrano, international. Both Christian Lealifano and Gonzalo Bertrano, both internationally capped. Christian actually capped in 2 countries, Fiji and Samoa, while Gonzalo, of course, capped for Argentina. But I totally agree with you on all these picks for this first year.
and it made RFCLA a fun team to watch because just standout performances all year around. I think the most surprising thing for me in RFCLA was Ben Houston
Mm-hmm.
really essentially taking over the number 8 jersey
Yeah.
from probably
Benetani.
one of the Kunatani, who was arguably the best player last year
Mm-hmm.
across MLR, and Ben
Mm-hmm.
Houston was just like, "Yo, man, it's my jersey."
Yeah.
But to me, this was watching RCLA games, high scoring. They wanted to run and gun. They wanted to play fun rugby,
Mm-hmm.
tap and go, and there
Mm-hmm.
was no one better at it than Gonzalo Bertrano.
Oh.
I mean, like, you could not take your eye off of him, and you couldn't take a moment off because he was going to tap it and go.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or something was going to happen.
Right.
He was going to go, and you had to be ready for it.
Right.
And I mean, there was a reason why they dropped 50 points on a number of teams throughout the year, and a lot of it came from their number 9. Who, look, if you're going to be a number 9 across rugby, you gotta chat a little bit. You gotta yap a little bit. That's kind of your job.
I
And he
think that's a
definitely
prerequisite. I think that's a prerequisite.
Yeah. And so, like, fun to watch it. I think Nick Chan was just a steady presence there in the midfield. I don't feel like he missed a game, maybe 1 or 2. Ed Timpson scoring a bunch of tries. I mean, what more can you say about Christian? Just a steady leader, great off the tee. A lot of great pickups from RFCLA. So it'll be interesting to see how many, if all of them, come back for next year. Guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, from what and again, don't quote me. From what I understand, with most of their contracts, pretty much all of them are coming back. They've signed 2-year contracts at least. I think a couple of them have 3, but for sure, pretty much all of them have 2. So with the unless anything drastically changes, all of them are coming back. At least these 5. Obviously, I'm not saying the whole squad, but these 5 are coming back. A little bit.
Does that include Reese McDonald, who
Reese McDonald is signed? I believe he signed a 2-year contract.
Okay.
Maybe it was 3, but yeah, for sure he's coming back next season.
Oh,
I
good, good,
feel,
good, good.
yeah, I feel that was like that had to be because they knew about the injury. So for sure he's coming back because of the injury. They knew would take out at least half the season. So get their money's worth. So he's coming back the next season. But
Yeah, yeah,
but a little bit behind the scenes number wise with all of these, Ed Timpson, Ben Houston, 8 tries apiece for the season. That was the most tries for the season for an RFCLA player, which is a little bit behind Semi's 10 tries last season, but still nothing to
yeah,
argue about. Phenomenal work from both of them. Nick Chan, like you mentioned before, yeah, I agree. I feel he might have had a bigger presence if not for the fact that the guy playing next to him was one Billy
yeah,
Meeks.
yeah.
But hey, nothing wrong with learning from one of the best players, Billy Meeks. And
Sure.
honestly, I felt the style that we had to play, that run and gun, as you say it, I felt Billy also did a great job of help coordinating that as well.
Hmm.
He was always really willing to kick pass, rubber kick the ball, just move with the ball. That was a style that really worked well with him as well. And I feel Nick Chan definitely is growing with a guy like Billy right by his side to mentor him. And then Christian, 95 points in the season. I'm sorry, 91 in the regular season, 95 overall because of the playoff game. Most points scored by an RFCLA player. Granted, it's only year 2, but most points scored by an
Hmm.
RFCLA player in a season. Phenomenal clutch player off of the tee. 40 for 49, 81% kicking accuracy. You'd love to see that. And like you said, a great presence to have. And then, yes, Gonzalo Bertrano's not only his leadership and style of playing, scored 6 tries himself. You love to see that from a scrum half. And
Hmm.
yeah, again, he embodied the play style. The fact that, like you said, he's always moving with the ball. Like there's never okay, let's slow it down. Let's kick to touch, let's toss. No,
Hmm.
we're playing. We're playing. Any chance you got, we're playing. We're playing. Like
Yeah.
you said, good, bad, whatever. Nope, we're playing. And it just, oh man, yeah, it was a very fun season for us RFCLA players. And granted, we didn't go very far in the playoffs, but the fact that we made the playoffs and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a great season for us. So a lot of uh, positivity and enthusiasm going into year 3 next year. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
love the picks. Love the picks that you made for that. Now we'll go over the rest of first year
Hmm.
players. So now we got starting from left to right, D'Angelo Luila from Utah, phenomenal player. Jed
Hmm.
Holloway from San Diego. Stephen Hughes, Welsh player for Old Glory, which obviously John knows a lot about. Liam Coltman, great hooker for Utah. And then Ali Devoto, former Exeter Chiefs Premiership player from England with Chicago. Yeah, great lineup here for first year players.
Yeah, I think for all of them too. You think about MLR, you think about some of the like those other big name players that have come over to MLR. It seemed like it was kind of the very end of their type career. A few of these players have just stepped off from playing from a Premiership side or
Mhm.
URC side or playing down in New Zealand and elsewhere, in the Southern Hemisphere. That I feel like these guys still have a number of years left to play and can
Yeah,
continue to contribute
yeah,
for MLR. And they all made, as you said, contributions to their sides. To I think every single player on here, minus Jed Holloway for San Diego, was on a team that made it to the playoffs.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yep, absolutely right. And I feel like you mentioned, all of them pretty much had some sort of contribution as soon as they stepped on the pitch. Ollie Devoto, I mean, I was excited when I heard his name on the Chicago roster. And yeah, he didn't disappoint. I mean, he struggled a little bit with injuries, but man, the first few games that he was on, he was everywhere. So he really showed that international experience that he has, and gelled very well with the Chicago side.
Hmm.
Liam Coltman, 10 tries of the season. As a
Yep.
hooker, you love to see that. Just a big reason why Utah was so dominant. And I feel an even bigger reason why Utah was so dominant was D'Angelo Luila.
Hmm.
Granted, he did suffer some injuries near the end, but man, beginning of the season, he was so
Yeah.
clutch.
Yeah.
If there was even a question of kicking a penalty kick. No way. D'Angelo could do it from
Yeah.
wherever, however far he can do it. So, I mean, if you have a guy like that on your rugby team, it gives you so much more confidence in doing things because it leaves everything so much more wide open for you, you know? So, yeah, again, very, very big on this. What do you think about Stephen Hughes for Old Glory?
Yeah, I think just very steady veteran presence there in the midfield. Brought a lot of leadership qualities that the team really leaned on. Um, he wasn't the highest scoring player, but if you watched a lot of what he did, he set up a ton of tries to Nick
Mm-hmm.
Grigg. Nick Grigg, a tremendous center for Old Glory, played with Scotland. Uh, just in a good presence defensively too. That was some area of concern for Old Glory the past couple of seasons. They were able, obviously a couple of games got away from them, but
Yeah.
he played nearly 80 minutes of just about every single match, was not injured. And just a good, family guy, brought his family over, was getting
Mm-hmm.
involved in the community stuff. So stuff that you love to see from a guy less like Steph Hughes. So I'm pretty sure he's coming back next year too.
Great.
So
Great.
yeah,
Great.
yeah,
Well, like you said, what's phenomenal about this is that the perception, right, of Major League Rugby seems to be changing a little bit, where it's not just the place to go when your career is near the end. It actually is a place to go where possibly can extend your career,
mm-hmm.
or if you just want to change the scenery, you're
Yeah,
you're kind of want to go somewhere else. You heard America's pretty nice, at least for right now. So why not come over, and
yeah, yeah,
try and I've been talking a lot to the RFCLA players, and granted, a lot of them are Aussies. Some of them are South African. Major League Rugby is known over there. They know about it. So
oh yeah, oh
the
yeah.
interest is there. The interest is there. So that's great. I think that's great, and that just means that the league is growing. And if we do, I know there's still a lot of argument about how many international players are playing on a team, how many American
Mm-hmm.
players. I still
Yeah,
feel right now, with the way the league is, and people still forget, this was just year 8. It's still
mm-hmm.
a very, very young league.
Yeah,
It's okay to have a lot more international players because that's going to make everybody better.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
improves from this. All the young American players with teammates that have all this more experience, with different play styles, with different experiences around the world, they're just going to improve from that. So I'm, not going to complain about that at all.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
All right, now for our last one. Again, we got a
Mm.
list of this, so I had to divide it into two, but it's our best players of the season. And these are the ones, veterans, rookies, whatever, but these are the best players of the season. And we got quite a list. So the first half of the list comes up here. Starting from left to right, we have Davy Coutier from the Houston SaberCats. We got Devin Rousseau from Seattle. We got Brad Wilkins from San Diego. And then Paul Abalakana, who looked phenomenal in the Major League Rugby Championship game.
Yeah.
2 tries there. He cannot stop scoring tries. Talk us through, John, what is about these 4 players that stood out for you this season?
Thank you, honey. As I just got handed a roll of sushi here,
Oh, there you go.
California raw. Mm. Truly in California now.
Yeah, you
Just
truly
handed
are.
a
You truly are.
California roll. I mean, so if David Kutzer doesn't get hurt,
Mm-hmm.
Houston's fly half, and
Mm-hmm.
again, obviously they made the MLR championship, and he was having a tremendous season, putting up a ton
Yeah.
of points.
Yeah.
I do think they could have won and probably would have won the title had Davey played.
Yep.
Injured at the end of this season. That's good season. Thank you. That's enough for now. Still a tremendous player. I think a year, maybe 18 months away from being U.S. Eligible. So we'll think maybe 2027. We'll see. Devon Rousseau, I've always been a fan of him in Seattle in his second year. Just the guy plays such a good player. You never really see him out of position. He gets a ton of
Mm-hmm.
meters. He makes tackles. He scores tries. Fun to watch. Brad Wilkin, I mean, he's kind of what you want in a flanker. Guy can get up and get around and get all over the place, score you some tries, make a ton of tackles. I mean, and then Paulo Bellicana. I mean, the guy is just a big game player. He shows up in the biggest moments. I mean, we saw it just a couple of days ago that if you look at this group right here, you got to give it to Paulo Bellicana because he was such a big part of New England success this year, and then obviously winning the championship. You know,
Right.
his performance there on Saturday. So,
Right.
yeah.
And I mean, with those 2 tries, he now also puts his try total overall in his career for 46. Phenomenal. That puts him at third, just 2 behind Rickard Hatting. And of course, well, they're both way behind the Butcher Dylan Foss at 65, but not too shabby, right? With Paul Bellicana,
Mm,
just a
mm.
weapon. And then if you remember from the playoff game, also he can show that he can be defensive too. He had an amazing
Yes.
try-saving tackle coming
Huge.
out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
I
so,
know.
so, so phenomenal player. But I gotta argue with you as we go to our second group that
Yeah.
maybe the person that could be just a little bit above
Okay.
him is his rival, Joe Mono, from the left
Mm,
for Utah, who also scored
yeah.
quite a few tries, 14 tries in the season. Manuel Ardell from Miami, who's
Yep.
phenomenal, nominal leader for them. And then Jonah
Mm-hmm.
Mau, who I don't think gets as much credit as he should, but such a phenomenal young talent.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, on a team that struggled a lot with Nola. And
Yeah.
then he
Yeah.
has the wrong jersey on right now, but Shane O'Leary from
Yeah.
Miami. I'll be honest with you, John. Shane O'Leary is really my player of the year, just because the way I see it is that without Shane O'Leary, Miami wouldn't have done very well this season, in my
Mm,
opinion.
yeah.
Shane O'Leary was so clutch off of the tee. 23 for 30,
Yeah.
90 points, one of the top point scorers of the season. I mean, he is doing so much for that team. And granted, Miami was a very competitive team, but I really feel if they did not have Shane O'Leary, just like you're saying, because Houston possibly without David Coetzee did not win the championship, I
Mm-hmm.
really feel without Shane O'Leary, Miami would not have made the playoffs. I don't think Miami would have had a good year this year, but Shane O'Leary
Mm.
was just so clutch for them. And so he is my real big runner for the player of the year. But again, all the choices that were made, I feel phenomenal. Anything you want to add with these 4 right here?
Yeah, I think you know, congrats to Miami getting to the playoffs for the first time in their franchise history in their second year. And Shane O'Leary, yeah, I mean, you said it. You could play him at fly half, you could play him at fullback, but the dude is just steady off the tee. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that one game, right? I think that one game he scored like 20 some points with
Yeah, I think
nearly
he
all of
scored
them
all the
coming.
points for the team.
Yeah, yeah, you know. Manuel Ardao is one of my favorite players to watch.
Sure.
If a guy gets tackled in front of him, odds are Ardow's going to jackal that ball and get it
Yeah.
back for Miami's side. Just a fun dude to watch. Yeah, he got some yellows. You know, he likes playing on the edge a little bit. He'll cross that line, but just a phenomenal talent. And yeah, Jonah, you're right. I mean, maybe quietly, just an impressive season. Like double-digit tackles,
Mm-hmm.
nearly scoring a try every few games. Like you just knew you could get a great performance out of him. And look, Joey Manos, he's one of my favorite players to watch. He plays with a ton of emotion. Obviously, he's a
Mm-hmm.
great try scorer, but man, that dude can lay the hit stick. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
he has leveled some dudes, and I think
Yeah.
he relishes that quite a bit in his game, which is fun to see. And yeah, I mean, again, there's probably a few players here we inadvertently left off, and
Oh
apologies,
yeah.
but it just goes to show, right, like the strength and the number of quality players that are coming in. I'm looking forward to seeing next year, like in the off season here, some of these players that are going to make their way over to MLR that you know, we hadn't considered coming to the MLR ever. So
Right.
it could be some big names here.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just speculating, but
Yeah.
we'll see. You
No,
know.
like I mentioned earlier, I mean, Major League Rugby is becoming a presence now in the world
Yeah.
where people from across the ocean and they're looking.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, and again, the perception is changing where it's just not a place to go because
Yeah.
your career is ending. It's a
Yeah. Yeah.
place where you can go to really play some good rugby and really just elevate your career even further,
Yeah.
become a
Yeah.
bigger star. And again, I mean, I know some people snicker at this, the sleeping giants title
Yeah.
USA has. But hey, it's starting to happen, I feel. And especially more and more as we're getting closer to the Rugby World Cup here in 31. The spotlight is going to be on the United States. And
Yep.
all the people that are playing rugby here, those are the names
Yep.
that are going to start really resonating with
Yep.
people. So why not? Why not jump in on it before? You always want to be there before. You don't want to be there when it's too late. You want to get in before.
Yes.
So you're
Timing
absolutely
is
right.
everything.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It could be that we are in for a great off season where we're going to start hearing all these names of people where you're like, wow, they're coming over here, and it's going to be fun to see what teams they wind up in and who goes where, and yeah, I'm super super excited with that. So overall, John, last question for you before we wrap things up. Great season for 2025. Again, I know it's way too early for 2026, but is there anything that you can predict right now, hot take, of what we might be in store for in 2026?
I hope it's a quiet off season from a league perspective, and that no franchises fold.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so quiet on that end.
Yeah, definitely.
Although ideally we have a balanced schedule because we can't do these storm weeks again. It was just it's too funky.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So we'll have to figure that out. Do you start the season 1 week earlier? Do you maybe condense the schedule a little bit? Because obviously with the July window there and all that. So I think that still needs to be figured out. Ideally, there's addition, not subtraction from the league. But in terms of, I mean, look, if you have to ask me right now, like, who's going to win the title next year? Unfortunately, I think you got to say the New England Free Jacks are in the pole position here. But I think predictions. I think there will be some changes. They're going to tweak the scrum laws a little bit more again to favor teams who have a better pack. So that could potentially go against New England because their pack got pushed around a little bit. So like in that championship game there with Houston, their pack and their scrum is very strong.
Yeah.
I think we'll start to see it come back in favor of teams that have very dominant scrums. So I anticipate changes like that happening. So we'll see how that affects how roster management has come together and how play comes together for next season. Yeah.
Interesting you mentioned that. I talked to a couple players. I don't want to say names because it's a little bit behind the scenes, but I know that there is some rumbling about changing some of the laws that Major League Rugby has introduced that's only exclusive to Major League Rugby. So there is a possibility that there definitely will be some law changes. The scrum one is interesting because I know that was kind of a point of contention during the championship game. But I know there's a few other rules that a lot of players are not happy with. So
the TMO's got to stop inserting him or herself a little bit too much.
Certain things like that. There's going to be there definitely. I feel will be some changes. If not this season, definitely next season because I feel a lot of people become very very vocal about them. My big hot take is I really really do feel. And no disrespect to New England, I really do feel somebody else is going to win next year. I
hope so.
I hope so.
I'm with you, man. I hope so.
Yeah, I think it's sports, right? I mean, it's really hard to be super, super dominant. Not to say that it can't be done. There's been in histories of every sport, there's been teams that have been just dominant, But I feel the parity of our league has become so much greater where anyone can beat anybody. I just feel, and again, New England did come very close to not making it. I mean, there was that moment with the Chicago game. Could have been different.
Look, I'm just saying. All I'm saying is it a coincidence that the MLR final was in the backyard of the New England Free Jacks?
Listen. I was the first one. Come on. I was the first one. You want to talk conspiracy theories? I was the first one to go, wait a minute. This is Rhode Island. What is this? Rhode Island? What are you trying to say here? Why you might as well have just done it at Veterans Memorial Stadium. Why put it at Rhode Island? It's like, come on, what are you trying to say here? Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. But I really do feel there will be a new MLR champion. I don't know who, I don't know for
Okay.
what conference, but I really do feel I just feel it's
Okay.
very, very hard to do
Yeah.
4 in a row. You know,
Yeah.
and again, no disrespect to New England, but I really feel that'll be hard. But I agree with
Let me
you.
ask you. Let me ask you a question, Josh.
Sure,
Let me
go
ask
for it.
you a question.
Go for it. Go for it.
Will Anthem finally get their first win in
Ah,
Major League Rugby next year?
that's a great one. Yeah. I know I'm probably shooting myself in the foot with this one, but I really do feel that. I mean, they have to, right? They have to. I know it's going to be hard because no team wants to be that team to
Yeah.
give up the first
Yeah.
loss. I feel that's kind of the detriment to Anthem is that every
Yeah.
team doesn't just look at Anthem and go, oh, it's just Anthem. No, they look at Anthem
Yeah.
as like, we cannot lose to Anthem. We are not going to be that team to lose to Anthem. But man, they, at the beginning of the season, they really came close. Like they had some very, very close games. And I just feel at the end, they just kind of just like, whatever. And the weird coaching change that really wasn't explained. Like why all of a sudden, I'm blanking on his name now, head coach Idisian or something like that. Why did he all of a sudden disappear and got replaced? Like it was,
Oh yeah.
it just,
Lama Irm. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just felt like it kind of just fizzled out really badly.
Mm.
But I feel, especially with our focus on the World Cup, our focus on the Eagles, we can't let Anthem just become this bust of a thing, especially because of what it's supposed to represent, right? So they gotta have a win. They gotta have a win.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm gonna say right now, and again, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot. They're gonna have more than one win. That's the thing. I really feel.
I think in my predictions for this year, I said Anthem was going to win 3 or 4 games. So obviously whiffed on that one. So
yeah, no, same here. I had 2 and then went to 4. I really thought they would win 4 and completely whiffed. But I still feel it's not just going to be one win. They'll win at least more than one. Maybe it's just 2, but I feel definitely more than one. But I definitely feel
I hope so.
they have to win one. So yeah, that's my prediction. But going back, I do agree with a lot of what you're saying. I really do hope there's very little talk about franchises closing.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about new franchises, which kind of sucks because we still have that imbalance and you never want to see that. You kind of want to get an even side for both conferences. But hey, if we don't lose a team, that's a win. It doesn't matter
100%.
about getting a new team. Just don't lose a team. We're good.
Yeah, 100%.
And I do also think we need to work on this Storm Week thing because, I don't feel that benefited anybody. This one. Yeah. So, but anyways, that is pretty much it. John, of course, we do have more rugby coming up. Because MLR is over doesn't mean that rugby stops. That's the beauty of being a rugby fan. It's rugby pretty much year round. But now we have our international matches coming up. USA has the summer of rugby upon us. We got Belgium, we got Spain, we got England, the big one. Man, again, if you are a rugby fan here in the States or you're trying to get into it, now is the time because we got some exciting stuff. And then just a couple of steps after that, we got the Pacific Nation Series, World Cup qualification. It's big. It's big. And then of course the draft will be coming up. It's exciting. Adds a little bit of that, hey, we're familiar with this because we all know what college drafts are, so adds a little familiarity to sports fans. So it's been a great season and rugby overall doesn't end now that the MLR season has ended.
That's right.
So, John, as always, thank you very much for being a part of this. I always appreciate it. I'm glad the move here to California was as smooth as possibly could be. Enjoy. Like I said, hopefully the summer doesn't get too hot and nasty for you. But I feel you've probably dealt with much worse on the East Coast compared to
for sure.
Here. So,
for sure.
But before we go, give us your social media information and everything for we could follow you.
Yeah, pretty simple. Rugby Morning.
There you go. There you go. Always a great follow on the X, as we like to call it now.
Yeah.
And of course, multiple podcasts that he's a part of. John is a fixture in the rugby community, which is great. That's why it's always great to talk to him. And So, of course, John, we'll keep in touch throughout the
Of course.
season.
Yes.
Maybe do a couple of podcasts here and there. Maybe we'll do something with the draft.
Yeah, for
depending on
sure.
how things turn out.
Absolutely.
But as always, thank
Absolutely.
you very much. I appreciate your time, John. Appreciate it.
No, of course.
And for all the fans that are watching, I appreciate your support. Check out the channel, and we'll see you on the pitch.